Welcome to Walk-Ons. Here we go. It's a Monday night. That means it's time to talk Purdue basketball. This is Purdue Basketball Live, and we welcome you to our radio broadcast. I'm Rob Blackman, your host for this evening, and boy, do we have a lot to talk about over the next 60 minutes or so. First of all, welcome to Walk-Ons Live here in the Purdue Memorial Union. They are always the host each and every week of our Purdue Basketball Live program, and we appreciate them for being the host that they are. A couple of quick scheduling updates. We're on a bit of a normal schedule now for a while. We'll be here on Monday nights for a bit, including next Monday night and the following Monday as well, 6:30 as we talk Purdue basketball. Tonight, we have a lot to talk about. As I mentioned, we'll talk some Purdue women's hoops. The Purdue women getting ready for a West Coast swing. They'll be playing Oregon and Washington this coming week. Our Purdue women are at Oregon Wednesday night and then at Washington on Saturday afternoon. The Purdue men are also making the West Coast swing this week, just opposite teams. Purdue men's basketball will be on the road Wednesday at Washington. That's a 9:30 tip-off on Wednesday night. And then the Purdue men will finish up the road trip out west in Eugene, Oregon against the Ducks at 3 o'clock on Saturday. So both Purdue men and women out west this week. By the way, that is why we will not have any representation from the Purdue women's basketball program tonight, because they're actually already headed out west. They're going out a day early, getting ready to fly out of the Purdue airport. So they're headed out tonight. Purdue men will head out tomorrow morning to make their trip out west. With that said, joining me tonight on the program from the Purdue men's basketball program is the Director of Operations. He is Elliot Bloom. He'll be my guest this evening to talk all things Purdue men's hoops. So we'll talk with him about that. And I don't know, maybe we'll throw in a Pro Boilers segment. Maybe we'll have a little nugget at the end. We'll see what we can come up with here on this very cold Monday night in West Lafayette. Feels like basketball weather, doesn't it? People always say that in the football season, around about October, right? Then the wind, it gets just a little chilly. There's a chill in the air, and it says, oh, it feels like football season. Well, now that here we're looking at sub-zero temperatures coming up, we can now say it feels like basketball season, certainly here in north central Indiana. Live at Walk-Ons tonight here in the Purdue Memorial Union, where there is validated parking and kids eat free on Tuesdays. With that, we'll take a break. When we come back, Elliot Bloom joins me. This is Purdue Basketball Live, presented by GEMCO on the Purdue Global Sports Network. This is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.
Be felt here on the interior defensively for the Huskers.
There's an interior pass, and C.J. Cox lays it in.
Switching out defensively.
Smith, shot clock dwindling. Lawyer puts it up, and he got another one.
Boy, what a clutch play as the shot clock.
Haven't been turning the ball over, and that has resulted in some big wins.
Yeah, and you know, when you're not giving up loose ball turnovers, you can get back and get set up defensively.
Trey Kaufman-Renn
does such a great job of making quick decisions out of that short roll. And he's got that. Look how the ball moves for Purdue. The only player that really holds the ball a lot is Braden Smith. Everyone else moving, passing, and doing that.
And making shots. Make it 9 threes now for the Boilers. Dangerous pass, but it does get to Hoiberg, and then he throws it away. C.J. Cox. Oh my!
Oh my goodness.
Well, C.J. Cox, the young freshman from Lexington, Mass, has now missed a shot. 6 of 6. This was maybe the most impressive. He's got 15. And then before we went to short for Buchtungel, long rebound, Purdue tracks it. Alley-oop. Yep.
Oh my goodness.
A reverse from Heidi.
Oh my goodness.
The whistle there, he's checking on Fletcher Lawyer. Look at this one. Now that was impressive.
I'll tell you what, Cam Heidi can jump with the best of them, and to have the presence of mind to reverse it, just not just go.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Indiana Mr. Basketball rankings in this state the last 4 years. We've got a lot of those guys out on the court here today.
Oh,
how about Braden Smith? He's one of them.
Man, Rayfeld Davis came up and said hello to us during the break. Another Fort Wayne, Indiana native.
Yep, and they're playing defense like him. And, oh my! Top shelf to Miles Colvin.
Well, you get behind the defense. If you run, just keep your head up because Braden Smith is going to find you. Second reverse alley-oop dunk we've had in the second half alone.
Walk-ons in the Purdue Memorial Union. Purdue Basketball Live. It's presented by GEMCO. GEMCO, your proud presenting sponsor of Purdue Basketball Live. I'm Rob Blackman. Joining me tonight from the Purdue men's basketball program is Director of Basketball Operations Elliot Bloom. And, man, do we have a lot to talk about with him, especially with the way our Boilermakers have been rolling here as of late. Since we have last spoken to you here on the Purdue Basketball Live radio show, which was a week ago Monday, Purdue has picked up 2 victories in impressive fashion, 68-50 over Rutgers on Thursday night in Piscataway. And then Purdue just, did our ball club look awfully good on Sunday afternoon at Mackey Arena with that 104-68 win over Nebraska, a Nebraska team that came in into Mackey Arena ranked in the top 15 in the country in adjusted defensive efficiency, and Purdue scores 104 points. That's the most points Purdue has scored this season. So let's talk to Coach Bloom about that while we have him here. Good week for our ball club, Coach Bloom. That's an easy statement, I think, but what has gotten into our team all of a sudden, especially on the defensive end? Because we have really turned some things around here in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, well, our defensive numbers have continued to trend in the right direction, which has been great to see. I wish I had a great explanation for it. I don't. I know that the guys have really stuck with what we've been trying to do and bought into things, and I think that one of the big factors in this whole transformation defensively has been the play of Caleb First. You know, what he does at the 4 spot, not to get too technical on everybody, but his ability to kind of switch everything and guards, for a big guy is a total game changer. It's really stymied some of the teams we've played, and we're just in a really good spot right now. The guys are embracing the game plan each week, and as you know, it changes, week by week. We're in a really tough stretch of our schedule now in terms of just, we're pretty regimented right now. Game, 2 days, game, 2 days, game. We're in this rhythm here for a while. So what that means is the guys don't get much of a break right now, and maybe that's a good thing. Maybe while we're in a good rhythm right now, we want to stay right what we're doing and continue that momentum. But it really all the credit to the guys and our staff as well for putting together good game plans. These teams that we've faced, good defensive teams, but also they've got a lot of high volume scorers.
Yes.
I mean, if you look at the teams that have been in over this stretch, we were really concerned. We went up to Minnesota with Dawson Garcia, a guy that can really fill it up. Then you come home and play a Northwestern team that has 2 guys, averaging 20. That we did a really good job on defensively. And then when you go to Rutgers earlier in the week. We've been there different years, and it's been a tough place for us. It's been a tough place for a lot of people. I mean, we're not the only team that's gone to Piscataway and faced that environment out there. It's unlike anywhere in our league, really. It's an old school gym. It feels kind of like a big Indiana high school gym. They're super rowdy out there. They've got that East Coast swagger to them. You hear some superlatives out there that you don't hear anywhere else in the league.
Yes,
they let it fly a little bit more liberally than other places do, and so you got to have a toughness from a mental standpoint. You got to know what to expect going out there, and I think our guys did all that stuff. But again, 2 scores that average in the top 10 in the Big Ten in scoring. And so we've had our work cut out in terms of scores and have done a good job defensively holding those guys in check.
Well, you mentioned Caleb First, so let's keep talking about, the punch he has provided our ball club since being inserted in the starting lineup. I remember that game at Minnesota, found out that morning, hey, Caleb's going to start, and he's going to guard Dawson Garcia. And I remember thinking, okay, wow, Caleb hadn't been playing a whole lot lately. We're not only going to put him in the starting lineup, we're going to ask him to guard one of the best scorers in all of the Big Ten. He made it look easy.
Well, and the whole goal is that those guys can get their points. That they can get their points, but you want them to get 20 points on 20 shots. That's the trick. If they get 20 points and they only shoot 8 or 9 shots, and so they're really efficient, which means that other guys are doing things as well, that's when you're in trouble. But if they take a high volume of shots to get to their average, that's okay, because that means you got a lot of misses that went up there, and that's been the case with the guys lately. Caleb is, Dawson put up some points that night, but he worked hard to get them, and he put up a lot of shots to get there.
And the other addition to that starting lineup has been the freshman C.J. Cox. First of all, what a game he had certainly yesterday. Offensively, his career high scoring in points with 23, but just the punch he has provided as he's been put into that starting lineup as well.
Well, we saw some flashes of that. You remember at the beginning of the year we played Alabama here, and he had that stretch where he hit those shots and blew the roof off.
Yeah, scored 11 in a row.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah, and he's had those signs. I always say this to people with freshmen, and we're very honest with our guys too. We kind of address this stuff in the summer when they get to campus. It's never you're never going to have a harder year of basketball in your life than your freshman year of college. The physicality, you take most of these guys were, if they weren't the best player, they were the top 2 or 3 player on their high school team. Some of these guys that went to a super basketball power, maybe they had 2 or 3 high major Division I guys. But for the most part, they've always been the best player. And then so you're practicing, you're the best player. You're playing against competition, you're usually the best player. Right. You get the sectional, maybe you're playing against another D1 guy. But now you get to this level, well, we've got a locker room of 15 guys with their best player. So right. Now all of a sudden you go out to practice every day, and you went from being the best player maybe for 4 years in a row to now you're just another dude. You're just another guy out there. And so it's hard for him, and it's hard physically. And you're going against guys that have spent 2, 3, 4 extra years in the weight room versus what you have. They've got 2, 3, 4 years of extra experience of playing in the Big Ten and knowing our system and just the physicality and knowing what coaches expect. And it's hard because you not only are you away from home for the first time, but now you're lifting weights, and the amount of basketball is not comparable to the high school level. It's just a lot more. And you're balancing being away from home and academics and all that stuff. And so every freshman at some point is going to hit a wall. And we tell the guys that. Now, I really hope that all our guys hit their wall in November.
Yes.
We're all through that now.
Right.
We'll see, because at some point it seems like a broken record year after year, but freshmen always come to us and go, I can't feel my legs. What is going on? And we're like, hey, it's okay. It's hard. It's just it's a hard deal as a freshman. I think those guys took their lumps collectively. Our freshmen did in November. They had some moments where the game got hard for them. Now, we didn't do them any favors with the schedule we put together.
No, you did not.
I don't know who the guy was that did that, but we need to talk to him, because we really threw these guys in the deep end of the pool without their floaties for a little bit. And I think that we're seeing some of the benefits of that now. I think that hardened the guys. I think it woke them up a little bit. And now the game seems to be slowing down for some of these young guys, and especially for CJ. He was fantastic on Sunday.
GEMCO Constructors is supporting your Boilermakers as the presenting sponsor of Purdue Basketball Live. They are a proud partner of Purdue Athletics. GEMCO Constructors says boiler up. More in a moment with Elliot Bloom when we come back to Walk-Ons. This is Purdue Basketball Live, presented by GEMCO on the Purdue Global Sports Network. This is Boilermaker basketball from Learfield.
Pretty good guards right here on the floor with Smith and Harper.
Somerville fell down, and that allowed Lawyer to hit.
And nobody showed to help. The guards are pretty good. A little dribble, handoff, a little bump. Nobody shows. Nice.
Slings it down low. Kaufman-Wren skips to the wing. Pretty Smith. The dump off and the jam for Caleb first. Hello.
How about that? What a setup. He's been doing it on a consistent basis, but how about this dribble drive? First. I like his activity lately, though.
First start of the year, Rap.
Nice slip pass.
There's Burgess on cue.
It's contagious. He's amazing. Braden Smith, hey, get your hands up. A nice little dump off here by Burgess, and Smith really challenges the big guys. How about that little special delivery? Cox to Burgess, and Rutgers coming alive. Garner ran on this little mid-post setup.
Oh, beautiful drop step. Count it. And a foul.
That guy with that derriere and a beautiful little drop step. Set him up, spin. Luxury on the deck. Well, he really softens things up in the interior. Then the guards can go to work as well. Oh, goodness.
Kaufman-Wren on a beautiful find from Smith.
Open look for Williams. And right here, a little pocket pass. Bang it.
Cut it to 5. Down the lane, Grant. The nice Dirkcock. Baseline, Dirkcock. Driving and couldn't finish. Right waiting for support.
You're right. A lot of guards would have gone right to the rim. A little floater here.
Pocket pass again. This one reeled in by Kaufman-Wren. Extra pass. Down low. It's first.
This is Purdue Basketball Live. It's a Monday night, which means we're live from walk-ons in the Purdue Memorial Union. Purdue Basketball brought to you in part by Purdue Federal Credit Union, the official credit union for Purdue fans. I'm Rob Blackman, joined by Elliot Bloom from the Purdue men's basketball staff. Boilermaker men getting ready to head west this week. Wednesday night, Boilermakers will be on the road in Seattle against Washington. That's a 9:30 tip. And then the men will be playing Saturday afternoon, a 3 p.m. tip against Oregon and Eugene. Those are Eastern times, by the way, 9:30 Eastern and 3 o'clock Eastern for this coming week. Purdue women are also on the road, also out west, but just flip-flopping the games. Purdue women will be playing on Wednesday against Oregon Wednesday night, and then Purdue women against Washington Saturday afternoon at 5 p.m. Eastern. Coach Bloom, as we went to the last break, we were talking about the resurgence of C.J. Cox and what he has meant to this team as a freshman. You think about what he, Jakari Harris, and Raleigh Burgess have brought to the team, especially Raleigh has of late. He's been in a couple situations these last couple games, as you know, where Purdue has found itself in foul trouble in the low post position, and he's had to give this team some valuable minutes.
Yeah, you know, and I think Raleigh's role got expanded, obviously, when Daniel went down with injury at the beginning of the year. You know, then Raleigh kind of jumps into a more vital role for us. And, you know, it's a league, it's a rough and tumble league in the paint and underneath the basket. And
yeah.
So Raleigh's asked to do a lot of things for us and has to be, you know, physical with some of these guys he's going up against. I will say with Raleigh, the nice thing about him, he's a step-out guy. He can step out. We've seen him make a couple threes this year. He's comfortable doing that. There was I think in the Nebraska game, he wanted to get another one up there, and he waited a little too long, and the guy closed out on him. But I love it when those guys get open shots. You know, if those big guys can step out and face up and get open looks, I think that helps to open the floor up a little bit and draw those big guys away from the basket. But he's a guy that continues to get better. You know, I feel like he's getting more comfortable now finishing around the rim. I think earlier in the year he was probably rushing things a little bit. I think that's just freshman nerves. And I think he's starting to settle in. Jakari really appears like he's settling in and that the game is slowing down for him. A couple of those moves he had against Northwestern were in transition were fantastic, pushing the ball for us. Really hangs on everything that the coaches say defensively and tries to execute the game plan when he goes out. You know, he had that stretch where he had a lot of open threes that looked great, and they were rimming out, and everybody was just waiting for that one to go down. And then he's gotten off the schneid a little bit with that recently, knocking down some threes for us. Had a big one up in Minnesota, and then a big-time one at Rutgers earlier in the week.
Yeah, when they had trimmed it to 5.
Yeah, got it down to 5. And, that's impressive for a freshman when it's a 5-point game and the crowd now is back into it to step up and not hesitate at all and to knock that down. And then I love the fact that he came back and shot the second one right away, too. And that rimmed out. I love the fact that he stayed aggressive on that. And then, later on, a couple minutes later, he got a similar chance on that same side of the floor. Put it on the floor a little bit, ball fake, and then dumped it down to Caleb first for a dunk. So he's doing really great things. All three of them are, and it's really great to see because I think at the beginning of the year, with our three juniors that were expected to carry a heavy bit of the load for us, we needed those complementary guys to step up, and it's great to see those freshmen now start to feel a little bit more comfortable out there and provide some extra punch off the bench.
Oh, what about an update on Daniel Jacobson, if you have one? Is he starting to do some basketball-related things a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. He's starting to move a little bit. He's been active in the weight room anyway. It's just I was talking to our trainer today, Chad Young, and he was trying to explain a little bit that, it's just not – we're not jumping or anything or running around yet, but it's all but he's got some mobility. I mean, he's moving around a little bit. He's been off the crutches now for a couple weeks, so he's building strength back up. He'll attack more of the lower body strength here, as he fully heals in that regard. But upper body wise, he's full go in the weight room and lifting, and he's been the envy of the coaching staff right now because he can't eat enough calories. So while all of us are trying to do some push-aways from the table, he's doing some pull-ups to the table, and he's trying to inhale everything he can at our pregame meal, postgame meal, and all that stuff. So he's the envy of the staff right now.
What a life. I saw Jason Cabo, who is our sports performance coach, strength and conditioning, we might have called it a few years ago, basically telling Daniel, I heard him telling him he has to drink like 3 or 4 protein shakes a day. Oh,
Yep.
oh what a terrible life.
Right. Right.
Drink milkshakes 3 or 4 times a day.
Yeah, how great would it be? I mean, you come to walk-ons like, we are here, and you take a look at that menu like, yeah, I'll take one of those, one of those, one of those.
Yes.
I mean, that is fantastic. That's his life right now. So.
Oh, what a rough life as a college freshman. By the way, speaking of college freshmen and sophomores, juniors, and seniors, welcome back to Purdue. Spring semester class is officially starting today. So welcome back, everyone, for the start of the spring semester. More with Coach Bloom in 2 minutes when we come back. This is Purdue Basketball Live, and this is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.
Braden Smith on the drive.
Good job by Leach getting back in front of Smith.
Now Smith fading away and hitting.
He was coming in today. Love seeing his presence here in Mackey.
It's Colvin into the game for the first time for the Boilers. Lawyer on the drive and the foul. Here's Smith driving on Barnheiser. Tries to get him in the air, eventually does. Now drops it off to First, who throws it down. Barnheiser.
Ooh, Barnheiser's mouth got busted. He's got a retainer because he lost a couple teeth. Put some fire underneath these Wildcats to get them to compete.
Smith with a step back, and it goes. Braden Smith off to a fabulous start.
Just to add to what, oh man, that's gonna drive Coach Collins crazy. This comes from Martinelli. Looks like he's ready. He gets just a brush screen. It wasn't really a big screen. He's not gonna back down though.
Three out of the corner, C.J. Cox.
Barely even gotten shots up on the rim.
Well, that's what's impressed me so much. Purdue's been great on the offensive end, but it's this end of the court. It's that defensive end. As Sheravino loses it on the way up. Now Colvin the other way, and Toffman-Red throws it down.
Beats almost everyone up the floor. The hustle.
During COVID, he was not able to see him play live. Pretty amazing what he has become. A very lightly recruited player. That one's blocked away by Colvin, showing off his athleticism.
Looked like Barnheiser was wide open. All of a sudden, number 5 comes in. Not this time, Brooks.
Now you understand why Colvin this year just.
It's Purdue Basketball Live, and we're live tonight from walk-ons inside the Purdue Memorial Union. Rob Blackman with Elliot Bloom from the Purdue men's basketball staff talking Boilermaker hoops. Lafayette Limo, family-owned, women-owned, serving Greater Lafayette for over 38 years. Shuttles to and from Indianapolis and O'Hare airports 365 days a year. Make your reservation now at LafayetteLimo.com. Lafayette Limo, proud sponsor of Purdue Athletics. All right, Elliot, I did want to talk to you about, since I only get a chance about one time a year to speak with you here on the Coaches Show, from a scheduling standpoint, what this particular week has meant for you and a person that is in your position, because for the first time ever, obviously, in Big Ten play, we are headed west, and this is not just a down and back.
Right.
We're going to be out there a couple days.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be. We'll see. I mean, I'm withholding all comment on this until we get back next week. But yeah, we'll take off tomorrow. We'll head up to Seattle, and we're actually going to practice out there tomorrow afternoon at the arena, Alaska Airlines Arena, and then we'll wake up on Wednesday and have a typical game day. You know, we'll get up and go to shoot around, and then it's a 6:30 local game. Then when we're done there, we're going to spend the night in Seattle Wednesday night, and then fly down to Oregon on Thursday, and then get to the hotel, get the guys off their feet, and then Friday will be pretty typical. We'll go to the arena, have a practice, and really what will amount to a practice/shoot around, because it's an early tip on Saturday,
Right.
With a noon local tip. So we don't get the guys up super early for those games and do a insane shoot around at 7 a.m. or anything like that.
Right.
Rest is more important. So we'll let the guys stay in bed, get up, have pregame meal, pack up, get to the arena, and then fly home immediately after that. It'll be just a longer stretch of away from home. You know, we were west this year in San Diego.
Right.
And played 2 games back-to-back. Now, you know, the difference is we stayed in one spot for 5 days, but this time, obviously, we're moving around a little bit. But, you know, there's been some instances where we've done some combine some trips. You know, a couple years ago we played at Ohio State over the winter break, and then flew after that game, stayed in Columbus an extra night, and then the next day flew out to Philly and played Penn State in the Palestra. Practiced out there a couple days. So there's been a little precedent for us in doing these kind of things. This one just happens to be, you know, a little bit longer of a flight.
Yeah.
But again, we were on a flight to the West Coast earlier in the year, so I think the guys are somewhat familiar with that. And hopefully, knock on wood, things go smoothly from that standpoint, and we can go out there and compete at a high level.
But from your standpoint, you've been doing this long enough. I mean, you basically have your favorite haunts, right? The hotels we're going to stay in, whatever the city is, because you've done in Minneapolis is always the downtown Marriott, whatever it might be. Well, this is brand new even for you, right?
Well, as the Cliz used to always say, on the circuit, you know, that's our favorite stop on the circuit. You know, that we always called Ed, and we still, I think we still use that vernacular when we're out on the road to this day. But yes, a couple new spots on the circuit now. Yeah. So. It was interesting this summer. I put a call together with all my counterparts at the other 18 schools, and we got together, and I think it was in July. And the reason for it was basically I said, hey, look, you know, let's help each other out here. I said, you four on the West Coast are really going to need some help going east. You know, you're really got your work cut out for us. We're somewhat fortunate. We only have to go west one time, play 2 teams. You know, we don't go to L.A. this year. We will do that next year. And the whole premise of the call was, I said, let's kind of let's not have each other have to reinvent the wheel. Like, we sent around a little questionnaire, and it was all the little things that we're worried about. You know, what are the good hotels to stay at? You know, when you fly into the airport, sometimes you have an option of a couple baggage handlers to help you get bags off the plane and handle your bus and all that stuff, and bus companies and restaurants in town that are friendly towards teams and can handle large orders, you know, 40 people or so. Those kind of things, and those are the kind of things that we kind of shared, and then I went around and said, okay, everybody talk about your place, and what is something unique about your place that's a pain in the butt, you know, because everybody's got it, right?
Yeah.
So, for instance, for Purdue, like what I would tell them is, hey, when your bus pulls up and you enter Mackey Arena, if you have any equipment that needs to go on an elevator, we're going to have to walk you all the way around the other side of the building. Like, it's an older building. You know, we don't have a big freight elevator like some of these modern arenas do. There's no loading dock where the bus pulls into the actual arena. You know, we park you curbside, and you walk in and go down some stairs. So every arena's got little different things like that, and so we kind of talk those through as well. And it was a beneficial call for everybody, because now it gave me a starting point when I went to plan this trip. I didn't feel like I was kind of flying blind.
Yeah.
You know, I've got family out in Seattle, so I had a little insider trading there to make sure we didn't get stuck at a, you know, crappy hotel or anything like that. So we feel pretty good right now on paper anyway. Knock on wood, we'll see. Like I said, hopefully it goes smooth, but a little bit more planning and a little bit more of the uncertainty. It was the biggest thing as we were setting this trip up.
Well, Purdue is headed west tomorrow. The Boilermakers leaving out of the Purdue airport mid-morning, with a couple of games out west this coming week. Purdue Wednesday in Seattle, and then Saturday afternoon in Eugene, Oregon. More in a moment. This is Purdue Basketball Live, presented by GEMCO on the Purdue Global Sports Network. This is Boilermaker basketball from Lear Field.
Conditions tonight in central Indiana, but that is not going to stop the Mackman of the Big Ten. It's the Northwestern Wildcats and the 25th ranked Purdue Boilermakers in prime time. As Ramos shoots in, getting a three-point takedown, looking for the attempt. 17-3 now as Ramos has come out here on fire in period number 2. Silky smooth, and he gets the takedown and gets the decision 20-4. Yachty with a leg, but Norris changes course and gets the three-point takedown for the redshirt junior from Cincinnati. Clark reverses it, gets the attempt. What a precarious position, and gets the ranked victory at 141 pounds. And Blaze responds with a three-point takedown. As time will expire in period number 3, Joey Blaze gets the victory over Jacob Bosselman. Bowman back to it, relentless. Always aggressive are the Purdue Boilermakers. Brody Bowman with a convincing technical fall at 174 pounds. Cruz staying aggressive and relentless not allowing the points to go by the wayside. The Boilers get another tech fall, this time at the hands of redshirt freshman Orlando Cruz. Takedown from Hayden Filipovic. He gets the three and he's holding on for more. 30 seconds to go. Holding on to Morley and he gets the pin. Hammers down and finishes off the Wildcats. And Purdue finishes off the domination of the Northwestern Wildcats. Blizzard-like conditions tonight in central Indiana, but that is not going to stop the Mackman of...
Thank and recognize members of the Black and Gold Club who support Purdue Athletics through their sponsorship at the highest level. Black and Gold Club members include Indiana Packers, Molson Coors, Purdue Federal Credit Union, Purdue Global, Riley Children's Health, State Farm Insurance, Toyota, and Wabash each are great partners of Purdue Athletics. We are live tonight at Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union for this edition of Purdue Basketball Live. I have a lot of stuff to talk about, but I need to pause 10 seconds to get our station ID in before we do that. So let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is Boilermaker Basketball on the Purdue Radio Network.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're back.
A couple of quick programming notes. February the 6th, you want to be here at Walk-Ons because it's our final Purdue football live show coming up. A chance to, meet with new head coach Barry Odom. He's going to be here to talk about what he and his staff have been up to on the first couple of months on the job. That'll be at 6 o'clock on February the 6th here at Walk-Ons with Coach Odom. So a chance to talk some Purdue football on February the 6th. Put that on your calendar. Also, I noticed when we went to a commercial break a moment ago, for those that watch us on the video streaming, whether it be the YouTube or X, however maybe you find us on video sometimes. I know many of you watch us via video. I saw we had some wrestling highlights on there, which prompted me to remind you that Friday night, Mackey Arena, Purdue Wrestling is hosting Indiana. And that is free admission, fans. So come out and watch our wrestling Boilermakers take on Indiana Friday night at Mackey Arena. And again, it doesn't cost anything to get in the building, so we'd love to see you there for that one. Time now for our Pro Boilers feature, where we look at how former Purdue student-athletes are doing in their professional sports careers. Pro Boilers, presented by Indiana Kitchen, premium pork products. Get to know us at indianakitchen.com. And tonight we're going to give a tip of the cap to a couple of former Boilermakers who are no longer playing in their professional careers but are now coaching. And apparently they're doing a pretty good job, because one of them is David Blau, the assistant quarterbacks coach for the Washington Commanders. The other one is Ryan Kerrigan, the assistant linebackers coach for the Washington Commanders. In case you missed it last night, the Commanders won a playoff game in the NFL playoffs. Their first playoff win since 2006. They were still the Redskins back then. Now they're the Commanders, and they picked up a playoff win. If I'm a betting man, and I am not, but if I was, I'm not so sure I wouldn't jump on the Commanders bandwagon like real quickly. They've now won 6 in a row with that playoff win yesterday after being 4-13 last year. So they are certainly doing something right, are the Commanders. Their next game is against the Detroit Lions, Saturday night, 8 o'clock in Detroit. But congratulations to David Blau and Ryan Kerrigan. How cool is that? Guys that had NFL careers and then have parlayed those careers into coaching careers now at the highest level of professional football. And it's also worth noting with that game at Detroit on Saturday, remember that was David Blau's team. He played for a couple of seasons with the Detroit Lions, so he'll be going against his former team when Washington plays at Detroit on Saturday. So congratulations to those two guys, a couple of former Boilermaker football standouts who are having quite themselves a career now in coaching at the professional level. This is Purdue Basketball Live. It's presented by GEMCO. It's the Purdue Global Sports Network. More in a moment. This is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.
Be felt here on the interior defensively for the Huskers.
There's an interior pass, and C.J. Cox lays it in.
Switching out defensively.
Smith, shot clock dwindling. Lawyer puts it up, and he got another one.
Boy, what a clutch play as a shot clock.
Haven't been turning the ball over, and that has resulted in some big wins.
Yeah, and you know, when you're not giving up loose ball turnovers, you can get back and get set up defensively.
Trey Kaufman-Red
does such a great job of making quick decisions out of that short roll. And he's got that. Look how the ball moves for Purdue. The only player that really holds the ball a lot is Braden Smith. Everyone else moving, passing, and doing that.
And making shots. Make it 9 threes now for the Boilers. Dangerous pass, but it does get to Hoiberg, and then he throws it away. C.J. Cox. Oh my!
Oh, my goodness.
Well, C.J. Cox, the young freshman from Lexington, Mass, has now missed a shot. 6 of 6. This was maybe the most impressive. He's got 15. And then before we went to short for Buchtungel, long rebound, Purdue tracks it. Alley-oop. Yep.
Oh, my goodness.
A reverse from Heidi.
Oh, my goodness.
The whistle there, he's checking on Fletcher Lloyd. Look at this one, though. That was impressive.
I'll tell you what, Cam Heidi can jump with the best of them. And to have the presence of mind to reverse it, just not just go.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Indiana Mr. Basketball rankings in this state the last 4 years. We've got a lot of those guys out on the court here today.
Oh,
how about Braden Smith? He's one of them.
Man, Rayfeld Davis came up and said hello to us during the break. Another Fort Wayne, Indiana native.
Yep, and they're playing defense like him. Oh my! Top shelf to Miles Colvin.
Welcome back to Purdue Basketball Live, presented by GEMCO. Live tonight at Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, where there's validated parking and kids eat free on Tuesdays. The 2024 Purdue basketball season, presented by Purdue Global. Earn a degree you'll be proud of with Purdue Global, Purdue's online university for working adults, and the preferred online university degree provider of the Guild and Team USA Learning Network. You can start your comeback today at purdueglobal.edu. I'm Rob Blackman, your host for tonight. Tim Newton is with the Purdue women's basketball team. They're heading out tonight, actually, to head west for their trip out west to face a couple of new Big Ten competitors in Oregon and Washington. My guest on the show this evening is Elliot Bloom from the Purdue men's basketball staff. The men will head out tomorrow morning to also have a West Coast trip with a couple of new Big Ten competitors, starting with Washington Wednesday night and then ending with Oregon on Saturday afternoon. Okay, Coach Bloom, so I want to hear what the talk is in the coaches' offices about the Big Ten season to date. We're basically a quarter of the way through the season. We do have 4 new teams we haven't had in the past. 2 undefeateds, as you well know as we speak. Michigan, Michigan State, the only 2 undefeateds right now in the Big Ten. Purdue with 1 loss, obviously. What are we talking about? Who are the teams that have really impressed us, and maybe who are some of the teams that, as Boilermakers, are like, man, these guys are going to be tough to beat?
Well, I think everybody falls under the latter. I mean, everybody I don't think you can take a night off, and I know that's an old cliche and everything, but, you know, right now, if you look at the standings, there's not a team that I would look at and say, well, you know, as long as we just show up, it's a W. You know, I don't think that's the case when you get into league play. And there's been some games, you know, in the league so far. I mean, this league and these different teams, if I've learned anything over, you know, 20-plus years of being around it, you know, it's the old Coach Katie line. It's never as good as it seems. It's never as bad as it seems. And, you know, the perfect case in point is Illinois goes west and looks all world, plays fantastic. They come home. They, you know, completely demolish Penn State. Everything's rolling along, and then USC comes in. And, you know, it's an early weekend game on a Saturday, and it's probably one of those things where you get to the building and probably not the great, you know, revved-up crowd at 11 o'clock Central Time. And, you know, you lose to a USC team that was 1-3, but that's all stuff on paper, you know, and we sit there and look at teams, and we know teams have players that maybe are super talented that just haven't played up to their potential to date, and so maybe the record, like, defies what they really are as a team or how good they can be. So I think that's always the case. It's always a situation where you got to be hooked up and ready to go against everybody you play. But as I look at things now, you know, the teams that are at the top, the surprise might be that Michigan, you know, is still unbeaten based on what people kind of thought in the offseason. I will say it's getting harder and harder each year to figure out what's going to go on in our league in the offseason because of the rosters and how they change.
Sure.
So many teams add multiple players from the transfer portal, and sometimes those transfers come in and work out really well, and the team gets another gear, and and they take
See
off.
Lance Jones.
Correct. And sometimes teams hit the portal heavy, and those players come in, and they just don't quite fit the way that the coach wanted them to, and maybe those teams underachieve, at least on paper sometimes. I don't know how the media does. I don't know how they do it and sit around and say, well, this team's going to do this and that. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a crapshoot to sit there in August and say, well, this is our order. If you go back and look, I haven't done this, but I would guess that over the years, the preseason Big Ten poll, if you went back and looked at that and looked at how mixed up it would be, I would think that of recent years, it's probably a little bit more jumbled than, maybe 6, 7, 10 years ago.
Sure.
You might have been able to, with pretty decent accuracy, say, hey, this team's got 4 seniors. Right. They won X amount of games last year. They've got the same team intact. It's just so much harder now, and you've had a couple teams kind of surprise some people, and maybe you've had a couple teams underachieve a little bit to this date. But then you also have to go back and examine their schedule. Yeah. So much of our league schedule is set up for TV, and right or wrong, TV saves certain matchups for most of January and February,
right,
and early March now. So early in the year, when we were, selected towards the top of the league, they want those marquee matchups. So they want the Purdue-Indiana games. They want the Purdue-Michigan State games, the Purdue-Illinois games. And so those fall into certain TV slots that fall in, late January, February. TV wants those good matchups when the NFL schedule's over and they dominate the airwaves.
Yeah.
So you don't see in the early part of December or the early part of January, you'll never see Purdue, Indiana, at the beginning of January. You won't see Purdue, Indiana in December, because that's a matchup that TV wants to put, in the meat of the season. You won't see Michigan State play on January 2nd. It's just not going to happen. So some of those type of things get saved for the end of the year. And then what TV's banking on is, did we pick the right teams?
Yeah,
did we pick teams that are going to be there at the end? Because every year there's a team or two that you think, man, they're going to be really good and they're going to have a say in the Big Ten championship, and they finish in the middle of the pack, and then vice versa. So it's going to be a super, super competitive league. I think the one thing to take a look at is going to be with the imbalanced schedule. We play 2 teams, home and away. Our teams this year, we play Rutgers twice, we play Michigan twice, and we play Indiana twice. And then you play 7 teams only at home, and you play 7 teams only on the road. So in the summer, when those matchups come out, you kind of look and say, oh, boy, I really like the fact that we don't have to go here, we don't have to go there. But ask everybody again at the end of January, because that's going to change. There's some teams that you didn't want any part of, in the summer, and then when you get to January, you sit there and look and go, well, they're not so formidable as we thought back in August. So it's really going to – the next few weeks, I think, are really, as they play out and teams start playing some more, I guess for lack of a better term, marquee matchups. Like tomorrow night, Illinois got to go down to Indiana. Yes. Will be a big matchup. As those big matchups start to happen, I think you're going to really start to see a better definition of how this league's going to shake out. But certainly right now, the teams at the top look pretty good to me, and there's certainly going to be some matchups for us down the road that I'm sure certain fans will have circled. I do know that we this year got a lot of home weekend games, Friday night games, weekend games. So I think that our fans are really excited about those, and I think there's going to be some Friday nights in Mackey here over the next few weeks that'll really be cooking.
Yeah, and those will start next Friday, by the way, fans. Purdue have a home game against Michigan a week from this Friday night, and then the following Friday night, a home game against Indiana. So to Elliot's point there, a couple of Friday night home games are coming quickly here towards the end of January. More in a moment when we come back to Purdue Basketball Live. It's presented by GEMCO on the Purdue Global Sports Network. This is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.
Pretty good guards right here on the floor with Smith and Harper.
Somerville fell down, and that allowed Lawyer to hit.
And nobody showed to help. The guards are pretty good. A little dribble, handoff, a little bump. Nobody shows.
Nice. Slings it down low. Kaufman-Wren skips to the wing. Pretty Smith. The dump off and the jam for Caleb First. Hello.
How about that? What a setup. He's been doing it on a consistent basis, but how about this dribble drive? First. I like his activity lately, though.
First start of the year, Ref.
Nice slip pass.
There's Burgess on cue.
It's contagious. He's amazing. Braden Smith, hey, get your hands up. A nice little dump off here by Burgess, and Smith really challenges the big guys. How about that little special delivery? Cox to Burgess, and Rutgers coming alive. Obama ran on this little mid-post setup.
Oh, beautiful drop step. Count it. And a foul.
That guy with that derriere and a beautiful little drop step. Set him up, spin. Lingerie on the deck. Well, he really softens things up in the interior. Then the guards can go to work as well. Oh, goodness.
Kaufman Wren on a beautiful find from Smith.
Open look for Williams. And right here, a little pocket pass. Bang it.
Cut it to 5. Down the lane, Grant deflects Burkett. Baseline, Durkak driving and couldn't finish. Smith waiting for support.
You're right. A lot of guards would have gone right to the rim. Little floater here.
Pocket pass again. This one reeled in by Kaufman Wren. Extra pass down.
2024 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
We are live at Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, where there's validated parking and kids eat free on Tuesdays. I'm Rob Blackman hosting tonight. Tim Newton will host next Monday, 6:30, right here at Walk-Ons as we talk Purdue hoops. A couple of notes on Purdue women's basketball. I mentioned they're headed out west for their West Coast swing this week. Purdue women losing to 25th-ranked Michigan, 87-60 this past Saturday at Mackey Arena. Purdue women now having played 5 straight ranked opponents. That is the most ever in the history of the Big Ten. Talk about poor scheduling. 5 straight top 25 opponents. It had never happened before in the history of the Big Ten. It has happened to our Boilermakers, unfortunately. The good news, Oregon nor Washington are ranked. The bad news, road games in the Big Ten are never easy. So good luck to Coach Katie Geralds and the Boilermakers as they head west. Again, they'll be playing Wednesday night at Oregon, and that's a 9 p.m., by the way, 9 p.m. Eastern tip. Purdue women at Oregon Wednesday night, and then Saturday late afternoon, 5 p.m. Eastern, they'll be on the road playing Washington Huskies in Seattle. GEMCO Constructors is supporting your Boilermakers as the presenting sponsor of Purdue Basketball Live. They're a proud partner of Purdue Athletics. GEMCO Constructors says boiler up. Joining me tonight, Elliot Bloom from the Purdue men's basketball staff as the Purdue men get ready to head west with their own road trip themselves against both Washington and Oregon coming up this week. All right, Coach Bloom, wanted to talk to you a little bit about this is just me speaking, Nervous Nelly here. I always get nervous this time of the year, Purdue basketball, conference home games, when the students aren't here.
Oh, okay. All right.
However, no problem this year, especially yesterday. Our crowd was awesome, I thought.
It was fantastic. Kudos to our guys. We gave them a lot to cheer about, which was great. But, no, they were great. And a segment of the paint crew was back. They were given a smaller allotment of tickets because, you know, you don't want to expect everybody to have to get back from a new game from after their holiday break. But a good segment was back. And, yeah, Mackey was fantastic. I've said it for a few years now, and I continue to say it. I don't know if – I hope everybody realizes what a special place that Mackey is. And I hope that there's nobody that takes that place for granted. I know we don't when we're fortunate enough to walk in there and have an office in there every day, but especially on the, 18 or so days of the year when it's a game day, I never take that for granted, driving in and parking before a game and just kind of walking in, because you never know what you're gonna get those nights. Yeah. We've got I don't know what the numbers are. We've got a nice winning streak going on right now.
26 in a row at home,
and an even longer sellout streak.
82.
And our fans have just they've turned that into one of the top 3 places in the country, and that's not. I know some people want to debate that, but it's really not up for debate. I worked at the other 2 places that are usually on that list with Kansas and Duke being those teams. All 3 are really, really special places to watch a game. it's been really interesting over the years as we meet more and more people and travel more and more to play different places, and you run into people in the world of college basketball, the amount of people that say, you know what, I've been told by so many people that I have to get to Mackey. And then when you see when they do come to Mackey and, you know, that how they're just blown away at the game day experience. A lot of the social media outlets, you see that every once in a while something will pop up on my Instagram feed or something from somebody who just, you know, that, hey, first time in Mackey, let's see what to expect. And they kind of document it, and you see, you know, some of the things through their eyes and their first time going through some things. It's just a really, really special place. It's a segment of people that really understand basketball. I got a kick out of the other night. There was the new goaltending rule, you know, when they call it right, and then they go back and look at it. I know I'm biased, but I think our fans understand basketball more than most, and it has a lot to do with the fact that the state we're in, and we're basketball obsessed. But we were at Rutgers, and they call the goaltend, and then they go to the monitor right away, and the whole place is just up in arms. I mean, they can't believe that they called that a goaltend. And we thought they were going to – it was a good block.
Yes.
But that's the new rule.
Right. Yeah.
And I couldn't believe the amount of people that were just having a nervous breakdown and didn't know the rule.
Yeah.
And it was in that moment while we're waiting 30 seconds for them to sort this out. And I thought, you know, we're just so lucky to be working where we are and have the program we are in the building we are, because I don't think it would have went down like that at Mackey. Now, a missed travel call or something like that, yeah, well, they're going to get on him. But it's just it's a place that's really special, and it has everything to do with our fans who show up night in, night out. And make Purdue basketball kind of a part of their life now. You know, we had a few years ago, and I've said this story before, we played in Indianapolis against Louisville, and there was an ice storm, and the building was about half full, but mostly of red Louisville fans that came up. And I remember talking to a couple Purdue people, and I said, well, and they said, well, yeah, the ice, you know. And I said, well, you know, Louisville drove through the same ice, you know, but it's got to mean that's something to you. And we've gotten the program to that point where now, you know, we've got a segment of fans that can't imagine doing anything else than being glued to the TV or being in Mackey Arena when Purdue basketball plays. And that's a big testament to Coach Painter, our staff, and especially the players who have come through here over the last, you know, 20-plus years that have gotten it to that level where, you know, you feel like you can't miss a minute. And hopefully our guys can continue to play at the level that they have played over the last few years and can continue to give people a reason to continue to tune in.
Coach Bloom, thanks for joining us tonight. I will see you at the airport tomorrow.
There we go, bright and early. I got to get home and pack.
Oh, Elliot Bloom, everyone, the Purdue men's basketball program. One final segment coming up live from Walk On. Stay with us. This is Purdue Basketball Live, presented by GEMCO on the Purdue Global Sports Network, and this is Boilermaker basketball from Learfield.
Braden Smith on the drive.
Good job by Leach getting back in front of Smith.
And Smith fading away and hitting.
He was coming in today. Love seeing his presence here in Mackey.
It's Colvin into the game for the first time for the Boilers. Lawyer on the drive and the foul. Here's Smith driving on Barnheiser. Tries to get him in the air, eventually does. Now drops it off to First, who throws it down. Barnheiser.
Ooh, Barnheiser's mouth got busted. He's got a retainer because he lost a couple teeth. Put some fire underneath these Wildcats to get them to compete.
Smith with a step back, and it goes. Braden Smith off to a fabulous start.
You know, just to add to what, oh man, that's gonna drive Coach Collins crazy. This comes from Martinelli, looks like he's ready. He gets just a brush screen. It wasn't really a big screen. He's not going to back down, though.
Three out of the corner, C.J. Cox.
He's barely even gotten shots up on the rim.
That's what's impressed me so much. Purdue's been great on the offensive end, but it's this end of the court. It's that defensive end. As Sheravino loses it on the way up. Now Colvin the other way, and Toffman-Red throws it down.
Beats almost everyone up the floor. The hustle.
During COVID, he was not able to see him play live. Pretty amazing what he has become. A very lightly recruited player. That one's blocked away by Colvin, showing off his athleticism.
Looked like Barnheiser was wide open. All of a sudden, number 5 comes in. Not this time, Brooks.
You understand why Colvin this year, just the false teeth.
Purdue basketball live tonight from Walk-Ons. Final segment here of our program. Reminder, we'll be here next Monday night, 6:30, to talk Purdue basketball hoops, both men's and women's. All right, here's your nugget, everyone. And this wasn't all of my own idea, by the way, today. I have to give some credit where credit is due. I saw on social media, Cobra Stats, if you follow that, had their own nugget earlier today, that with Purdue now having won 4 straight conference games by 18 points or more in all 4 of the games, that's only the 4th time in the history of the Big Ten that has happened, where a team has won 4 straight conference games by 18 points or better. 1988, Illinois did it. They won 4 in a row by 18 points or better. But they didn't do it a 5th time. You know why? Because the next game was at Purdue. They lost at Mackey Arena after ripping off 4 in a row of 18 points or better. In 2000, Michigan State, they won 4 games in a row in the Big Ten by 18 or more. Guess where it ended? Did you guess Mackey Arena? You did. After that 4th win, they came to Mackey Arena. They lost again. Now, Michigan State ended up winning the national championship that year, but still kind of cool that we ended it, huh? The only other team to do it was Ohio State in 2011. They won 4 straight by 18 or more in the Big Ten. You can guess where it ended? I'm not really sure because it wasn't Purdue, so I didn't look it up. But it is kind of cool, I thought, that of the previous 3, 2 of them had that streak end when they came to Mackey Arena. Mackey Arena, where really good teams who have been dominating come to lose, apparently. So well done, Purdue. I do like the sound of that. Now, if Purdue can win against Washington Wednesday night by 18 or more, Purdue will be the first team ever to win 5 straight Big Ten games by 18 points or better. We shall see if that happens Wednesday night. Purdue at Washington. Reminder, it's a 9:30 tip-off. 8:30 on the radio broadcast for our pregame show with myself and Bobby Riddell. We hope you will join us for that one. And then Saturday, Purdue men playing against Oregon. Oregon's ranked 13th in the country, Purdue 17th. So that'll be a top 25 matchup Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m. for the tip-off for that one. Hunter Stunkel, our in-studio engineer, Wes Scott, engineering on site. I'm Rob Blackman for Elliot Bloom. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you again Wednesday night, everyone. Have a great night.